Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. And just days after an article came out basically saying that South Africa might never host the Rugby World Cup again, a representative from South African government has come out and said that they would support a viable bid for the World Cup to return in 2035, which maybe springs a little bit of hope to the prospect. Now, I thought we actually go into this, look kind of at the other competing bids as to whether or not South Africa could host a Rugby World Cup, which I truly believe we could. And you can get very pessimistic about things at the moment with the way the world's going. It's quite easy, but I do think that we'd very, very easily pull off a world-class World Cup. I really do, especially if there's a lot of private investment that goes into it. Before we get into it, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, so that's not the right one. That's the right one. An article came out by IOL that said that South Africa's government is willing to collaborate for 2035 Rugby World Cup bid. Now, basically what happened is we said that we're not ever going to host it because we don't have the money, and all of a sudden I think the government's kind of basically responding to it. But let's go into exactly what was said and kind of whether it means that is a potential option. So the biggest problem for South Africa is money in terms of a South African bid. Well, a bid for the World Cup. That is the biggest thing, in terms of the type of money that you're going to be throwing out. And now, for example, you're going to be competing with the likes of a Spain, who apparently are big contenders, as well as the joint bid, the joint Gulf bid, basically. So in terms of this, the Deputy Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Peace Marbe, said on Tuesday, at the launch of the 2025 Telkom Netball League, that if there's interest, then the government will agree to the hosting. Bit confused about that. I mean, in terms of if there's interest, I mean, what do you mean if there's interest? Nah, we actually don't really want it here. It's very cool to see us win everywhere in the world except we have, for the last 20 years. But of course we want to host it. Of course we want to have it on our doorstep. Of course I want to be able to get an Uber and be at a World Cup match in 20 minutes. Of course that is the case. We want to go watch our team go and try and win a World Cup on home soil. But this is what she said. She said, rugby is big business. The economic spin-offs in terms of tourism will be big if SA Rugby says we are going to host in South Africa. It will fill up hotels with immediate effect. They will be booked. We would appreciate that type of initiative. But we are the number one. This, by the way, just blows my mind. We are the number one team in the world. So we also don't want to be seen as bullies by taking the hosting away from the world. Let's share with them. No, we're not going to share with them. I'm not sharing with Qatar, Abu Dhabi, and Dubai and Saudi Arabia. I want the World Cup back here. Spain, we can talk about. We can talk about sharing with Spain. Spain play a lot of rugby, and I've been told apparently there is rugby going in Qatar, UAE, and Saudi Arabia, which is great. They're nowhere near being competitive. They're nowhere near being a rugby nation, and I don't think a World Cup's going to suddenly accelerate that process, to be brutally honest. We haven't had a World Cup here in 20 years. If we do host, it'll be the first time it'll be here in 30 years. If we don't host, that'll be meaning more than 30 years between World Cups that we've actually hosted. I mean, Japan potentially is coming in for another World Cup. We've had two. We've had a World Cup in Australia. We had a World Cup in New Zealand. We've had World Cups in England. It's time. It is time for us to have the World Cup again. But this whole, we don't want to become as bullies. That'll be the day when SA Rugby can bully World Rugby into hosting. I mean, we should have had it in 2023 and didn't because of other tactics. I'm not sure if I was bullying necessarily, but more sort of bribery. But we're not going to go into that. So first of all, none of this whole bullying crap. We are taking if it was a possibility, we will take it, and we're not going to sit there worrying about the bullying. The question is, can we do it now? Stadiums point of view, we've got the stadiums. From a capacity point of view, we've got the stadiums. I mean, you throw in Soccer City, you do a bit of renovation in Soccer City, maybe try and make it a bit bigger from a field perspective. Probably be quite a big project, but I think going forward would be a good idea. There's your final stadium, at an 88,000 seater. So that's tick. You've got Ellis Park, which again, maybe this becomes a rejuvenation project. Maybe it's being very optimistic, but it could. You've got Ellis Park, which is a 70,000 seater. You've got Loftus, which is 50 plus. You've got Moses Mabhida. I wouldn't do it at Kings Park, to be honest. I'd go to Moses Mabhida because you want to use your sort of best stadiums. You've got the DHL Stadium, and you can have other matches in Free State, as well as Nelson Mandela Stadium. We've got the stadiums. That's the main thing. We've got the stadiums from a capacity point of view. They would need big upgrades. from an access and facilities upgrade. I think that would be a big part of it. So, you need to do a lot of work on making Ellis Park accessible. And the train is a very, very good one. I used it for the Currie Cup final. It was world class, genuinely world class. So this is my experience on the ground. Let's not have all the naysayers sitting in England and likes of that saying there's no way to get to Ellis Park. There actually is a way to get to Ellis Park. I was very impressed with that whole train experience. And if that sort of becomes a genuine option, you could do that. You got to basically rejuvenate a lot of that area, and you have to do a lot of work to try and make sure that the access to the stadium will be safe. Loftus is very, very fine. I mean, very accessible, as is DHL Stadium. So Ellis Park is your worry from making an accessible point of view, and you probably need to upgrade a little bit in terms of the surrounding areas and the actual surrounding stadium. Kings Park, I think, is very out of date. So I think you take it to Moses Mabhida, which is a little bit more modern, but obviously also a bit neglected. So you can then have an excuse to actually do a bit more sort of maintenance and a bit of upgrading. DHL Stadium's ready to go. Bloom Stadium's more or less ready to go. Again, probably could use a bit of upgrading, more modernization. And Nelson Mandela Stadium also is pretty good to go. So we've got the stadiums. This whole thing about keeping the lights on. I mean, touch wood, load shedding is very much abated for now. You can't sit there saying we can't host a World Cup in 2035 because we had load shedding 2 years ago. I mean, we're talking about something in 10 years' time. Even if there was, inverted commas, load shedding, it wouldn't actually affect the stadium the tournament from a stadium point of view. We actually had load shedding in 2020 World Cup, and we had power issues and there were generators, and that was fine. We got given a 9 out of 10. Still trying to understand where that 1 out of 10 came from. We've got the infrastructure with regards to hotels and airports and the likes of that. So we're there. We're ready to go. I mean, talk about the whole sort of safety thing. It is a big concern, but South Africa remains a major tourist attraction in the world, and there are millions, in fact, of tourists that come here every year. So we very successfully hosted tournaments like in SA20, for example. We hosted the World Cup very successfully. We have the Junior World Cup. We had the SA19 World Cup. So we can host these things. You can be a naysayer and sit there saying, "Oh, with the way the country's going, we can host a World Cup." I can tell you right now, we can host a World Cup. Call me an optimist, but I choose not to be completely miserable about everything going around, because I think the world in general is quite a weird place. South Africa could host a World Cup tomorrow. We genuinely could. There was a reason we were on standby. What was the tournament? Oh, the IPL. We're always in the standby tournament the venue for IPL. During issues and political issues and the likes of that, we're often a standby venue because they know that we could host it. So I think it would be a great idea to get it back to us. I do think that it's going to need some big corporation and consortium to come good and basically say, right, we're willing to put a lot of money into this, and go to SA Rugby and say, right, let's go to the government, let's get the money we need, and let's go and have a bid and actually try and get the World Cup. Do you think it's possible? Do you think it'll happen? Let me know down in the comments below. As I said, the main bids that we are competing in is Spain, Camp Nou, Bernabeu. That would be a phenomenal World Cup. I'm all for that. If we don't bid, that's where my vote's going. I don't get a vote, unfortunately. I should, but I don't. I'll ask the joint Gulf bid is the other one, and potentially Japan as well. So what do you think? Should we do this? Please, can we do this? Let me know down in the comments below.